welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I haven't done a sit down video in like the longest time ever, and today I thought you guys would, join me in explaining why this is my new background. So as you guys can see, I have moved houses. I don't have the full white background that I did before because I recently moved into my new apartment, and if you can't tell by the stairs, this is a loft apartment that I'm in. But before we get to this apartment, I wanted to show you guys how my last apartment looked like, so I will insert the videos from that apartment now. 안녕. So to tell you guys a little bit about that apartment, before I lived in Shillim, if you guys didn't know, I actually have a video about the last apartment that I lived in before I moved into that apartment. I lived in Shillim and I was very bent on living in a good area because Shillim was a nightmare for me. I hated that area, I didn't like it, and I was just like, I want to move to a nice area and I don't care if it's double the price I was paying in Shillim. So in Shillim, I was paying 5 mil for my deposit and I was paying 600 for my rent. This is all in Korean won, so I'll be writing the prices on the screen. And the place that you guys have just seen, that place was a lot more expensive. The deposit was 15 million and the rent was 815,000. And by the way, I'm gonna take out the zeros at the end because it's just easier for me to be like, it was 815. So I'll just write the prices so it makes sense as I'm talking. So the first year, the reason I really moved into that place was because I loved the kitchen. The kitchen was big. I cook a lot. I cook, I would say, like 3 to 4 times a week. So I just liked how big the kitchen is. And I know somebody's gonna see it and be like, that's big? Yes, in Korea, that's big because it's a 1 room, but it's bigger. That apartment is way bigger than a 1 room because if you guys watch my Shillim video, my Shillim house, which is also a 1 room, and you guys see that house that I just left, the size is completely different. It's way bigger. So I liked that it was really big. It had a lot of sunlight because I had that big window, and I need a house that has sunlight. Like, I can't do dark houses. So that was another reason. And also the bathroom was big. I liked that the bathroom had a separate shower and then a bathroom. It wasn't like all combined. So that's another reason why I really wanted to move into that apartment. So I ended up moving into that apartment and I stayed there. My contract was for 2 years, but I loved that apartment so much. I ended up extending for another year, but the deposit ended up rising. So I had the choice to raise the rent or raise the deposit, but I was like, I don't get back my rent, but I get back my deposit. So please raise my deposit. So my deposit in the 3rd year that I was living there became 26 million, but my rent stayed the same. So at the end, basically it was 26 million, right? So the year ended again and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave, and as I lived there, I just started really liking the landlord and his wife. They were the kindest people that I've ever actually met. They were super kind to me. They didn't mind any of my business. Like, I like landlords who don't care about their tenants. They just like leave you alone. You do whatever you want. But they were super kind. Anytime I needed something fixed in my apartment, the landlord would come and fix it himself, or if he can't fix it himself, he will help me fix it. I never really had any big problems with the apartment because the building was only, I think at the time I moved in, was 5 or 7 years old. So I never really had any big problems. But yeah, the 3rd year came and I was like, I'm not leaving. So I ended up extending my contract again for 6 months, but this time the landlord didn't raise the deposit or the rent. He was just like, it's fine, you don't have to, I don't really need to raise it. I ended up only extending it for 6 months because it was getting too small for me. The apartment just had too much of my stuff now. Like, obviously the more you live in a place, the more things you're buying, the more you lack space. So I was like, okay, after the 6 months I need to move into a 2 room because the 1 room was getting way too small for me. So I started looking for apartments this year, January, and I was looking for apartments that were deposit 50 million Korean won and the rent was around, I was looking for around 800 to 900,000 Korean won. And I thought that was like a really good budget, because I was like, that's like way more expensive than the apartment that I was living in. So I was like, I'll definitely find an apartment with that. Sorry, did I say 50? I meant 40 million Korean won. So I was like, I'll definitely find a place with that amount. Shokora, I did not find a place. All the places that I was finding, the deposit was okay, but the rent was past $1,000, even like dollars, like $1,000. And for me, I was not trying to live in an apartment that had that much rent, because I do still want to continue to save up my money. So I was like, that's like you're giving your landlord like $12,000 a year. And I was just like, the math is not mathing. So I tried for January and February to look for apartments, 2 rooms that I could move into, because I really wanted a 2-room. My thing is, I want a door that, you know, connects to my bedroom, and then I can close the door if I need to, because the 1 room is just like you get it and it's like, ah, this is it, and your bed is right in front of your face. So I tried my best to look for places, 2 rooms, and the only place that I found a decent 2-room was in Shilim. But you guys know me and Shilim we're never gonna be friends. So I was just like, I'm not moving to Shilim. I'm so sorry, but I'm not moving to Shilim. And the thing is, like, you guys might be wondering, like, why don't you just extend your contract that I was staying in the place? So actually, I did want to extend my contract, but I ended up extending way too late. So right when I was like, okay, I'm gonna move out, and I told my landlord I'm gonna move out, I would say 2 days later, a guy came to look at my apartment to see if he can move in. He looked at it, he signed the contract the same day. That's how nice that apartment was. He was just like, yeah, I'm taking it. So I couldn't like renew my contract, because now the time I'm moving out, he needs to move in, right? And also in the same building, there was a 2-room. So I was just like, oh great, I can just probably take the 2-room, but the rent was gonna be a little under 1,000, and I was still like, you know, it's still too early, maybe I'll find something better, which impossible, because that 2-room was just absolutely beautiful. But my dad was like, you know what, it's expensive, but just get it, like, you know, just go see it and then get it. So the day I was gonna go see the apartment, I texted the landlord and I'm like, oh, can I see the 2-room that's downstairs so I can move in? And he was like, the girl who lives there just gave her contract to her friend. So now that 2-room is gone. And I was just like, that would have been the perfect 2-room to move into, because 1, it's in the same building, same landlord, same everything. Like, I wouldn't really need to move too much, you know? It's just like my friends can help me move my stuff downstairs basically. But that was gone. My current apartment was gone. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try other areas. So I ended up trying other areas, and a friend of a friend recommended this building, and I ended up getting this apartment. I remember I was telling her that, oh, it's really hard to find. This is another thing. If you're trying to find an apartment with a cat or a dog, child, you're never gonna get a new apartment. Like, I am like the most picky person when it comes to how a building looks. I don't do buildings older than 10 years. Like, for me, I'm always like, if you're older than 10 years, I can't live in that building. But when you have a cat, all the nice apartments that I looked at, they were like, no cats. They would be like, oh, no, we can't do cats. Or the landlord would be like, no, you have to, like, you know, hide it from my husband. Husband would be like, you know, the actual owner of the building. So the wife will come and be like, you can hide it from my husband, but if he catches you, that's on you. And I'm just like, I don't want to raise my cat hiding her. And Mia is loud. Like, Mia meows a lot. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna get caught. So the apartment that I actually really liked, apart from the 2-room in my building, I couldn't get that because I would have to raise Mia secretly. And it's really hard to raise a cat secretly, because every time I'm getting her stuff delivered to my house, it's outside of my door. So I would just be like, the landlord would end up seeing that I have a cat. So anyway, so I came to this apartment, I saw it. It's a loft apartment, as you guys can tell, and I absolutely hated lofts. Mostly because, 1, the stairs, like this up and down thing, it's long. It's actually long. And also because the heating and cooling is a lot more expensive, because the building, my house is higher now. It's like extremely high. So heating takes long to go up, and then cooling takes long to like surround. So I'm gonna be paying more expensive utility bills. So I was like, I really contemplated on just like not getting it, but then I just realized, realistically speaking, I was not going to get a decent 2-room in the time that I had, because nobody was moving out around the time I was moving out. Like, I remember the realtor that I always use, she was like, no one's moving out during this time, girl. Like, you're the only one moving out. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just get this apartment, stay here for a year or 2, and then I just move out. So I ended up getting this apartment, but like a few weeks before I got this apartment, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you would see that my apartment flooded.
컵 진짜 많아 지금.
So this is the apartment that I was living in before this. That apartment ended up flooding. The pipe on top of my kitchen ended up bursting, and all the water just started coming into my apartment, which I'll insert some clips here. But because of that whole flooding situation, I ended up having to move out of my apartment, the last apartment, faster than I was supposed to move out. So I was supposed to move out March 26th, but I ended up moving into this place March 11th because you know what, that's a story time in of itself. The whole flooding of my apartment, that's a story time in of itself. So I'll tell that story time on my members only. If you guys are curious to see what happened, what I got in turn, like how I got refunded for everything that got spoiled, I will be telling that story time on my members only. But anyways, my landlord actually gave me permission to leave a lot earlier, so I ended up moving in here March 11th, and I have been staying here so far, and actually I'm enjoying the loft, I do have to say. Like, Mia goes up and down the stairs, so I'm hoping she loses some weight because she's a little bit chubby. She eats a little too much, so I'm hoping these stairs help her when it comes to weight. It's probably gonna help me when it comes to weight too, because this is not short, it's quite tall to like get up to the top floor. I'm like trying my best to enjoy it. I actually, one thing that you guys have probably heard me say so many times is I am a sucker for wood interior, and this house has wood interior. Like, if you can see the stairs, my stuff in this house is the same color as these stairs because I like wood. So I remember when I saw, and the floor is also the same color. So I remember when I saw this apartment, I was like, so far when it comes to the aesthetic I want in my house, this apartment fits it best because everything is wood. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this apartment is this random orange color that's just everywhere. Even upstairs, like part of my closet has orange, and I'm just like, white, like white, just make it all white. So I'm just gonna put like a white, like some white stickers on, not stickers, but like wallpaper on it to cover the orange, because I don't really like the orange, to be honest. But I know some people are wondering, oh, why don't you do a house tour? If you guys don't know, I've said this before, I never do house tours. I only do a house tour when I move out. Like, after I move out, I'll be like, this is where I lived. But if I'm living in that place currently, I don't do a house tour because evil eye. Everybody on the internet is not your friend, and everybody on the internet does not want you to live a good life. And also, I have this thing where I don't want everybody's energy to be in my house. Like, if you know how my house looks, your energy is gonna be here. That's what I feel like. And I know people are like, that makes no sense, but for me it makes sense. Like, this is my peace. When I come to my house, this is my peace, and the internet knowing how my peace looks like makes it not my peace anymore. Then it's just not gonna be my peace anymore. So I've never shown how I live. Like, I've never done a house tour, probably never gonna do a house tour. Like, I'm the type of person where I move in, I pray over my house, because I'm like, I need to live here safely. I pray that nothing bad happens. But if I'm praying for it and people's energies are in here, it defeats the purpose. So literally only 2 people know how this building looks like, my friends. Like, only 2 of them have seen how my house looks like, and that's Colin and Amber, who helped me move into this place. Actually, I can tell you guys the area I lived. Before, I lived in Sochogu, which is known to be a more pricey and nicer area. And to be honest, my apartment, I got it during COVID. That's why it's actually like cheap for that area. But I remember when I was moving out, my landlord was such a sweet person. When I was moving out, I talked to my landlord and his wife, and I was like, and they were like, we'll call you in 2 years. We'll call you in 2 years when the person, the two-room moves out, so you can move back in. Like, literally, they're those type of people. They're like, don't leave. Like, they were like, just don't leave, just stay here. And I'm like, I have to leave, it's too small. And they're like, don't leave. And I'm like, yeah, I want to leave. I don't want to leave, but I have to leave. So they were like, 2 years later, like, please come back. And I really want to go back to that area. That's why I can't tell you guys the exact location where I lived in. Just know it was like a super nice area. Like, in the 3 years and 6 months that I lived there, nobody bothered me. Minus the cafe, that cafe owner who was downstairs from that building. That story time I've told in my members only, but he's the only thing that pissed me off about that area. Like, this man, every time I would see him, I would cut my eye. I would just be like, the only person I hated in that area. Like, me and him, just, we do not have a good relationship. And I'm usually the type of person who's super smiley and super friendly, but every time I see that man, I'm just like, I pray that you get a paper cut every single day of your life. Anyways guys, that is it for my little moving vlog. I'm sorry I couldn't show you guys my new apartment, but I hope you guys understand. You guys understood the last time I posted my last apartment, so I'm pretty sure you guys will understand why I'm not doing the whole room tour thing in my new apartment. But yeah, that's the place that I was living. Yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, why is the deposit insanely high? Girl, I don't know. Like, I've lived in Korea for 6 years now and I still don't understand why the deposit is so low. Make sure you comment down below and tell me what you guys thought. And and also if you want to hear the story time about my house flooding or the story time about the cafe owner who lived downstairs from my apartment, make sure you join the members only, which is where I do my story times. And also, if you didn't know, like, where have you been? I have a podcast. So I have a podcast called Korea Unfiltered, where I invite guests to tell their life stories about like coming to Korea, before coming to Korea, and it's been so much fun. Like, that podcast is giving. Like, every person so far that I've invited on that podcast is absolutely amazing, and they were amazing people. So make sure you check out Korea Unfiltered if you are interested in hearing realistic stories from people who are actually living in Korea. That is it for today's video, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye, or my podcast. Bye guys. Bye guys.
Jewa sikia ninapokuwa